I'm Rod Duff, your host.
And I'm producer Barbie.
And together,
we bring you our podcast,
Insights and Straight Talk. And with that, producer Barbie and I are out. Hello, folks. How are you doing today? Glad to see you back. We're getting into, as you know, a series for this whole show is about the middle class, as you know, is about enlightening, engaging, bringing together, and empowering the great middle class, you know, of America and by extension the world. As you know, we do interviews from our interviews, conversations from people with people, experts from all over the world, and obviously here in the United States. Anthony is, I was talking to him a little bit. We're a little bit late. I apologize, guys. But we were chatting a little bit about the direction society is headed. And with Anthony's, Anthony Haddad, he used to work for CBS. He is a digital and let's say crypto, let's say AI, let's say he is started, I think he said 2008, if I remember. Correct me on everything I'm saying wrong, okay, Anthony? But anyway, I'll bring him on in a second. But basically, as you know, we're starting to really meld deeper insights for specific situations. And the one I'm really, really, really excited about is the one that Anthony's going to be talking about today. Aging Americas are either going to get run over by the world that's coming up, or they're going to drive their own and spectacularly wonderful life, having it done all by AI, having it done. So we'll get into that here in a little bit. Excuse me, but right now I have the pleasure of introducing my newest best friend, Mr. Anthony Haddad. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, Rod. Pleasure to meet you, man.
It is a pleasure, and I think we connected about a week or so ago, right? Something like that.
Yep.
And you got in right away, which is very cool because we're up to like the middle of May. But you know, there's spots, right? Anyway, when I saw it, I was like, oh, perfect, man. Perfect, because of the drive that we have. The show is all about the American middle class and by extension the world, and it all the things that I was talking about in the opening. You could hear me in the green room, right? I just like mess around a little bit sometimes. Looks like we already got a little group started here joining in. So let's not waste any more of their time. Let's talk to somebody who actually knows what the hell they're talking about. Anthony, where did you start? How did the whole story begin? How did you get on this journey? And, you know, depending on the questions and all that, if you're okay with it, we typically go a little over an hour and up to a little over 2 hours we've done. Not on purpose. It just was so engaging. It just kept flowing. It was easy. So with that, Anthony, start it off.
Yeah. So I think I could probably do an hour, something like that. Maybe if we go
no worries.
Totally cool. So usually I can do this very, very quickly, but since there's a little bit of time, I can show you how I got from A to Z. I think most people start at A. So I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. Got two brothers, older, younger, great family. Father was a business owner, owned a little jewelry store. And by the time I was 23, I worked for 3 publicly traded companies.
So Jewelrybox.ai was a brick and mortar business that's where that came from, right? Or no, am I totally?
No.
All right, so I guess.
I've had three businesses. It'll come first full circle for you. But watched my dad, you know, with a small jewelry business, high school, college, and then my third job was CBS. And there was, at the time, I didn't work for the family business for a couple different reasons. There was a couple crazy things that happened. like robberies
family.
and things of that nature.
Oh,
And I had to go work in corporate, which I was probably going to do anyways, So I worked for CBS, got into TV, traditional media, things like that. 2 years later, started yummymarketing.com. And I've been the CEO and operator of that for 15 years. And that's been a boutique advertising agency. Basically, that's the pillar of what makes everybody money. And, Jewelry Store was the fastest growing jewelry store in the country in 2021. We do all their marketing. And then just by being good at what we do and actually caring, bigger opportunities come. So I was the co-founder and chief marketing officer of anchorrides.com. We built
what is
Uber
that?
for boats. We built Uber
You
for
build
boats.
what?
Uber for boats originally. And then
come on. Whoa, don't leave that hanging out there. What is Uber for boats?
So we originally built that at the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri. If you've seen Ozark on Netflix,
Great show, great place. I want to live there. I love that area, Ozarks.
It's pretty cool.
Anyway,
People get wasted there, and accidents happen all the time. So originally started from that. Now the business has really pivoted more to like it's an Airbnb for yachts, and we do half and full day charters. And I took that on, moved to Tampa, and it's gone global expansion right now. And I took that from 140K to 9.2 million in annual sales.
What a leading edge thought idea. I mean, filling a need, right? I mean, I would have never thought about Airbnbs for yachts. That's very cool.
Tough business. Very, very cool idea. Very, very difficult to execute from a technical standpoint and from a compliance standpoint.
What are some of the issues?
Well, first and foremost, a lot of illegal chartering happens.
You hear about that. Yep.
Yeah. So the first challenge was getting the Coast Guard to trust us and getting captains to like us and things like that. You break through the market. Captains wanted to kill you, like, oh, you're taking our job, but now we're their best customer.
Exactly.
We're most organized. And, the United States Coast Guard really needs to approve your model from a risk standpoint.
A boat, model of boat, type of yacht.
You got insurance, you have different bodies of water, you have private marinas, public marinas, you have the yacht owner, you have the captain, you have the crew. It's a lot to automate. And just imagine having 150 yacht charters going out, 5 are in Cancun, 5 are in Cabo, 1's in Dubai.
That's the number?
10 are in
That's the number you go with?
We've done 100 charters on a Saturday before one day.
Wow. That is freaking awesome. Before we continue on that, I want to get caught up. We're already getting people jumping on here and asking some questions.
Sure.
For instance, and I'll kind of move them over and try and keep them in the topic we're in. Sometimes it's hard because I want to hear more about that, how those regulations and all the things you got to jump through hoops for, which is most of them at least are good, obviously, because if you have an illegal operation, if that's the right word, doing this seems to be a lot more risky because you're not making sure you're insured. You're not being responsible. So I want to hear more about that in a second, but let me hit a couple of these. They're starting to come in fast. How do you tailor your AI marketing strategies for small versus large? Now, jewelry stores. So, I mean, it's even beyond that though, right? It's not just jewelry stores that you do your marketing with, but that's a great question. And plus what? And then we'll go back to what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
For larger, small companies as well. So that's expanding the question. Yeah, okay.
All the software, all the AI education stuff can be applicable to pretty much any situation, industry, and business. But I'll answer this one for you for small and large businesses. So they typically have different needs and they're in different stages of maturity. So I'll try to keep it as basic as possible. But for a smaller company, you're going to be using some basic stuff, and you always want to focus on the three things that most people want, but they don't know what want it. Very simple. They want more time, more money, and less stress. And so those three things.
That's AI right there. That's not crypto. That's I use it all the Chat GPT and Jason, and that we're talking about right now. You're so perfect in your arrival, because we're talking about right now how aging Americans, instead of getting run over, you might know, you're probably too young, but when people look like me, when the internet and the cellular phones and that technology started taking over society and being totally integrated into society, there was a lot of depression. There was people feeling left out and, closed in and out of touch of these other things. Things were too complicated for them. Now, just imagine that time on steroids times 1,000. That's what AI's. I mean, that's where it is. I work with it all the time because I'm scared to death that I'm going to end up in a cave and is scared of what is the world is becoming. Not because it's bad, but because I don't know. So I do a lot of work in it.
Yeah, it's a good time to be a part of it. And it's definitely going to be a 10x powerful wave than the last wave of technology. So to Adam's question, to be honest, the first thing I would say is a lot of times you want to go into an AI bot, or let's just say ChatGPT, and say, hey, this is the situation. I'm a small business. What would I automate for? And sometimes what they call prompt chaining is you kind of ask it the questions, you give it the information on your
business. Don't you also teach it a little bit? You tell it what you're looking for and how much detail you want and what tone you want it done in, or whatever. You give it that instruction, and then you ask the question and build off that question and teach it to do your work, to do work for you at no cost. Well,
actually, I actually always coach to ask it questions first. So I would ask it, instead of just saying, hey, this is my business, I want to, market some strategies. I may say, this is
in the prompts.
This is my business. Prompts. What are the top 5 things businesses between $0 and $1 million struggle with? And, you may start to realize that it knows a little bit, or if you're looking for an audience pain point. So that's called prompt chaining. And then it starts to learn through that. And then you would want to give it your information and start training it, and you're going to get a much better output.
That's an insight I had no idea about. That's huge right there.
The final answer to his question is, they're automating different things. Most of the smaller businesses aren't doing things like calendar automation or sending emails automatically or any type of stuff. They're just missing their events. They're missing their emails. And the bigger companies, we need to be training AI bots for them and their management to be managing. So instead of CEO, it's more of chief executive human, and then a couple human managers, and they're managing AI bots. That's what the future looks like.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, and small companies in the same way, but in a different degree, need to take that seriously. The big companies have the resources to do it, and knowledge and research, and that's all great. Small companies, micro and what's the other, small companies, let's say. It's actually more important for them, because if they're already having a gap of ability to market their stuff, much less anything else, much less automate it and make it more productive and proficient. I bring it up now because before it was never realistic. One, it was $1 billion, and two, you guys speak. Excuse me. You guys speak in a different language than I do, and it's like learning German all over again with questions. So I'm really excited about learning this, and then helping aging great middle class Americans to make that transition, because it's pretty easy to automate, because like what you just said, or it's not weird to automate anymore, because like what you said, first you ask it. That was a great point. First you ask it, and then you tell it what to do, and it tells itself. You're not writing code, somebody's writing code, but you're not writing code to move your life into being special, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely do some surface stuff and save yourself a lot of trouble, and probably just do better work. I mean, that's what people don't talk about. It's better work. But there's a lot of layers that you can go into to completely automate a business or a functionality. So yeah, Allie's got one, I think.
Yes. This is a good question. As far as CRM, I always look at as being a database. So is there a different term that CRM is meaning here in your world?
No, I know exactly what she means with that. And CRM is just customer relationship management. It's usually an email platform like, MailChimp or Constant Contact or something like that. So if you want, Allie, I can dive right into the question. Okay, another one came in, so I'll ask it.
No. Sorry. There's another half a dozen that are in. I'm just, as you're starting to talk, I'm prepping for the next question, just to make things a little easier for you. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Oh, and by the way, we did not talk about this in the green room, but every once in a while, as fast as these are starting to come in now, every once in a while to you, because it's a better look than that. While you're making a great point. So when I haven't said that, sometimes somebody's like, I don't know what happened to the host. So I didn't want to do that. So, all right. So
I literally
go ahead with Allie.
Okay, cool. So Allie, what we have at Jewelry Box and what we do is, in a lot of CRMs have changed. They're not just CRMs. Ours does sales, marketing. It's literally like 30 in one. And then we've pulled in 6 different AI integrations. But to answer the question in regards to just a CRM, number one, if you're just using it for like email and texting and campaigns and things like that, you want to look at everything in marketing as gates. So first we want to know, hey, did our emails go out, and what was the deliverability rate? What was the bounce rate? What was the health score? Are we spammy? Did we get unsubscribes? And then the next gate would probably to look at how many people opened it, how many people clicked on it. If there was an offer, did they take the offer? Did that offer go in? You get notified. So are we just kind of sending stuff out there with fishing with no net? Because here we attract, capture, notify everybody, follow up automatically, nurture them to the next stages in the process for every action that we do. But your CRM, you want to look at, am I getting full deliverability? What are my open rates? What are my click rates? Am I getting leads from this? Visits to the website, sales from this? So depending on what platforms you're on and what you're using, you could go further or go a little more simple. So,
it's and then we'll go back to your question, but just to follow up on that, it's amazing how much larger a small company and more efficient a small company could be or become or look like, attracting customers. Do you know it's what I know as the CRM, like a Salesforce? Yeah.
Yes.
So within that, there's a plugin that used to be one, freaking hugely expensive if it's even still technically around, and two, was very, like, to learn it, you had to pay for trainers to come in and teach you for weeks, right? And you customize it, and it did exactly what you're talking about. That was kind of the first edge, I think, of of AI. I mean, we didn't know it and we didn't know how to use it. It was still complicated as hell. That was in 2014 when I was using Pardot. But anyway, the interesting thing that's really starting to happen, and then with your finish your remark earlier, what is so very exciting, and I want to keep pressing that point, is how relatively simple today automating the chores, the monotonous, the things that keep you from doing other things, and like Anthony just said, and doing it better, doing it way better. I ask Chat GPT a lot of things all the time. So go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, I know you nailed it. There's definitely some personal applications to it. There's a lot of business applications to it. Everything from a mother to relationship counseling to, got an injury, you can probably get some good information there. And that's all just level stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. And let me add something. I had a discussion with a lady about 3 weeks ago, and she's developed an app that is called Gemini. There's a couple of names in there, but it's an AI app that is a relationship thing. It responds to you as a friend would, to give advice and become a stronger thing. So that's all coming in, man. The world is going to be digitized.
Yeah, so it's pretty much already here, and I do a 4-hour crash course. It's literally like an hour per course, and I go into some pretty insane stuff like how to train these bots, how to find pre-trained bots, prompting, master prompts, so people can literally just plug and play. And then throughout the course, they don't know this, but we're building all their trained bots for them for their actual business.
As they just train it, you're building it.
I do
say,
like
surprise,
live webinar trainings. It's an hour a day, or they can just do it all in 4 hours. And it literally covers like AI, the copywriting, designing, video, and then how to train bots and how to find pre-trained bots. So
that's a wholly enclosed. Here, we're getting you there right now. And that's awesome. What is some, if you don't mind, something like that, range-ish? What are you talking about for that package? I assume you're charging.
Yes.
Right?
So the first thing we do is money back guarantee. If you don't think you can double your money with anything we do, we'll just refund you the money. But if I'm in person, it's usually around $1,500 to $2,500 for the whole staff. And then if
depending on what's going on, or I mean, you got to keep the lights on. There's time is cost. So that range 15 to 25 is depending on what's happening within it, or how difficult I'm making your job.
No, it's a crash course. So it's stuff that every business is going to need and want. We do customize it. That's the coolest part about prompt engineering and all that type of stuff, is everything can be customized. But the digital one, that I just do through webinars and things like that, are,
like something like this.
Yeah, $500, and I just like to get a few different seats on it. That way it's worth my time. So anywhere from 5 to 10 people, and I can jump on and knock them out. And it's
5 to 10 people over over 4 hours at that point, right?
Yeah, I just like to get 5 people, and we'll do it. We'll schedule out trainings. I can do them one-on-one or whatever, really. But that version of it is about $500, and it's a money back guarantee. You really can't lose with it.
No doubt. That's awesome. All right, let's jump back into like some metrics here on how do you advertise or market, I guess I should say, market to a brick and mortar place versus a digital jewelry store in this example. Ali, hey, Ali, you're a fan of this show. I see you every once in a while, and you always ask great questions. You're you are a sponge. You are thirsty for information and obviously smart. Anyway, thank you, Ali. I appreciate the question. Anthony?
So I answered Allie's question already in the last one. So we may want to jump to the other one, the next
Perfect.
one. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. How do you approach marketing differently for? Oh, damn it! You know what? I went back.
You're good.
I gave Ali Anita's credit because that's who I was actually talking about. Wow, that's embarrassing. Very
okay.
professional too, I might add.
Okay.
So there's your question, and I like that question.
Yeah. So it's a great question, Anita. And I started to answer this question about 2 years ago when I started engineering the company and engineering the prompts. So there's a couple different things. Number one, they use different systems. Number two, they have different call to actions and needs, which means my landing pages have to look different and my copy needs to look different. And sometimes they're, if they're online, they're using Shopify. So there's certain weapons we're using over here and these weapons kind of stop. But I will tell you actually how I do this. So I created basically something called a jewelry genie. Every month where our clients are sent a jewelry box to open. And it comes with pre-made campaigns. All they have to do is fill out a form, and 7 days later, we're able to create a 3-step website for a month with 4 emails, text messaging, automation, automated pipelines for everything. So every year, you have these different campaigns. So everything attract, capture, notify, A to Z, done in 7 days. And usually they're getting about 30 pieces of social media copy as well. So
are you sending that out, or are they receiving it to manage where it's sent out in time or whatever? Or is there a preference?
We have done with you and done for you clients. Either way, we're pretty much talking to them right now, and we'll send it out. And some of them will want us to just hop on a call and give ideas, which we do. But this is super, super streamlined. And then that goes to me and my team, handled by humans, and then re-input back into specific trained bots who understand brick and mortar versus online. And so,
good setup.
Let me double down on this one for her, because I think she might have 2 parts to the question. But so when we are marketing for them, we change those types of things. Now, if I want to I want to bring in customers and I market to them, I don't do. Although I've spent millions of dollars on advertising, I still spend a very big fortune, amount of money on advertising for my clients and things like that with Anchor and all that. But for my preference is not to do any of that. So I just have people come to me. And the way I do that is through outbound marketing. I'm able to generate, and this can be for any business, very, very low cost, poor qualified booked appointments. And for that, I could just target physical jewelry stores, brick and mortar, or online. But for this particular setup, I'm basically able to work with both. So the outbound targets both of them. And
so the outbound targets both of them. And from the building and training of the bot changes the wording slightly depending on the receiver of it, a brick and mortar or digital shop, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, I can scrape and pull data and create targeting systems that says, online retail.
I'm working on that right now. I'm working on doing that right now. So on LinkedIn stuff.
Yep, we got all the data we could possibly need for any industry. It's pretty. Once you figure it out, you got it. The most people struggle with an offer. It has to be a unique offer. And you have a unique offer.
Well, what we're doing?
Yep. Like, for example, I have a podcast. And I do free trials.
Can I come on it?
And yeah, maybe. Let's do it. I have it targets jewelers.
Ah, you have a Jewelrybox.ai. That's what you're talking about right now. Is that the podcast or no?
The podcast is called Bling Talks.
Oh, dude, you are a marketer. Bling Talks. I know
Yeah.
producer Barbie's on. We talked right before the show started. She's out on the West Coast. She lives in California. She relocated. Long story, great story. Talk to you about it some other time. But always growing up, we've been together like 20 years, and bling was a common word in her vocabularies. Barbie, don't get mad at me for saying that, but you know it's true. Say that name again. Bling what?
Bling Talks podcast.
Bling Talks, a podcast. Cool. So what you're doing is what on that podcast?
So we're just sharing insights with jewelers, globally, mainly on the, so this is also a service
Out the
that
market.
I've been offering and perfecting this service for about 5 or 6 years through the ad agency. So this is also a service we offer to other agencies. It doesn't matter if they're in home services or they're selling a certain, patented product. We can pretty much get them in front of the person that they want to talk to, and they're eager to be, engaged and all that type of stuff. And, you can generate high quality engagements with no ad spend. So yeah, zero ad
How
spend.
do you do that? Wait, how do you do that?
Well,
I mean, without giving away the secret, I'm not connecting the two there. I apologize if I spaced out or brain farted.
No, you're good. You're good. I use some outbound strategies.
Okay.
And I've tested hundreds of different campaigns and openers. And
Automatically.
Yeah. And then I do have some AI working on that type of stuff as well. So
gotcha.
I'll stop there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So and Tony or Ms. Gigal, I'm sorry if I know I'm butchering your name. What's one underrated marketing tactic that will still work? I assume what they're talking about in 2025. Obviously, that's going to change more rapidly than in history, but it's a good question. Moving forward, what's the strategy that would be a strong approach?
Yeah. So the first thing I would probably say is YouTube. YouTube is undersaturated. People don't focus on it as much. And what that leads to is more SEO. So YouTube is a shortcut bridge to Google. And I would say that. And then with the new AI content creation features, just creating content on organic platforms, like I can create 100 posts in the same time it takes to make 5. And
that's crazy, isn't it?
I'm also teaching mothers and stay-at-home, even kids, how to make $100 a minute working 2 to 3 hours a day using like a $30 a month software. So content creation is changing, and that's cheap and easier to use now. And then I would say,
but there's certain rules about it. I mean, how you handle that marketing, you got to get somebody, you got to keep them for, got to grab them, hook them in the first, 5-10 seconds. But it's the same thing. You can do so much more than ever before. I was talking, I'll let you get right back on. Sorry, but I've been looking to enter this, but I have and still own a equipment machinery business that does production, different kinds of production in the plastics industry. So I come from that mechanical world, and about 4 weeks ago, this got to be so blown up that that I made the decision to pull back. I canceled my last contract out of the business and came to here because this is it, right? This is the 4th step, the doorstep. The most important step is it's the first step in 1,000 miles journey. We're probably at 920.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's coming fast, and that's exciting because what you were just saying, the seminars that you provide and so forth, the giving that forward is critical, because if you're like us, and you're way more than me, but at least like me, you can maneuver in this world very comfortably. If you don't, you won't be able to. Agreed?
Yeah, it's coming pretty quick, and that's why it's either really, and by the way, I was training with people like Walter O'Brien, Einstein Higher Than IQ, like world leaders, government leaders.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Really?
Walter O'Brien is the man. Yeah, I did 2 training sessions with him.
Wow.
But all recorded. And the things I'm going to, I have mentioned and will mention things that he taught me. But there's really 2 options. It's either you can learn this and fire staff, or you can empower your staff to learn or learn yourself. So it's either you got to hire someone, hey, do this stuff for me, or teach me so that I can teach my staff, etc. He also said rich people are going to own robots and poor people are going to work for those robots.
Yeah, I agree with that to a degree. It'll be a different world, but I think, remember the term, there'll be a car in every garage? It's from like the 50s when the last revolution, I think the call out is going to be, there's going to be a robot in every house. Now, the difference between a Bentley and a Yugo is dramatic. So that's how I picture it moving forward. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, it was he told me a lot of crazy stuff that, if you know Walter O'Brien, he's telling you some inside information. Not cheap.
Absolutely.
And all that. So, let's jump into Clive, I guess. It's a good.
It's a great question. Absolutely. I hear him.
Solopreneurs who want to scale with tech but feel overwhelmed. So it really depends. Honestly, I would say get in touch with me. Get in touch with me if you'd like. I have models for this, but to answer the question the best that I can in the situation.
Before you do, on that exact point that you said there, before we leave, I always ask people, especially this kind of valuable information, because inevitably we'll get a couple of people on 100 on today or whatever, and then over the next few weeks there'll be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more. And every time somebody makes a comment on the show, you know how you have the comments underneath, asking me a question, and every time it's like, I am not the expert. I know a little about a whole lot of things. And so leave your contact information to be easier to push straight through to you, because it's about the audience. It's not about that, and making my life a little more free of time. So before we do go that, and then how do you keep from being overwhelmed? Which I get it.
So Clive, number one, it's the best time in history ever to do this. It can be overwhelming because there's so much of it. So what you want to do is just kind of pick your tech stack. Pick the 3 to 5 things that you want to use, and try not to tackle the entire jungle at once. But
let me clarify that, or get clarity. When you say tech stack, are you saying these, let's say, call them apps that you want to tackle and really build from there? Is that what you're talking about? Tech?
So I want to use ChatGPT. I want to use Canva. I want to use Jewelrybox as a CRM or whatever. And these are the things.
Good call there.
Yeah. And these are the things that I'm sticking with, and I'm going to work on to scale and fix these little issues. So don't try to tackle it all at once, because you're just going to you probably understand it. Start with fixing and scaling one thing and dial in on that, and then move on to the next. So millimeters to winning the battles every day until you win the war. So I hope that helps, Clive.
I believe that's a very smart and traditional way to tackle challenges that you have in each day. Doesn't matter the thing, but great advice. Don't go out and build a 18 mode module automation that sends out to all the things with pictures and writing and so forth, that you have to learn like 10 of them or 20 of them. That would be overwhelming. Those three that you just talked about, if somebody focuses on that grouping, I know Chat GPT, but what can they expect after teaching perform? What can they expect in its most reactive or most able state? What do those three do? Just broad brush.
I'll give you. I have a top 10 AI tools on my homepage under resources that I share the 10 tools that I use. But let's just say you're using.
What's your webpage? Just say it now. Right.
Jewelrybox.ai. www.jewelrybox.ai. You can go to resources. The top 10 AI tools on there. You can do a free demo. Probably find a place to meet with me as well. But I'll throw another tool in there, 3 of my favorites that I use. So I use ChatGPT for damn near everything. I have a channel for everything, and I create projects. I have friend and trusted assistant that sometimes if I'm discombobulated, it knows the whole picture. Okay. And then I can take that.
Wait, through ChatGPT?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I got more to go. I just upgraded from the free, OpenAI, because I had to, because of things that are going on. I mean, you have to at some point, or pay somebody else to do it.
No,
so,
it's worth it.
But I'm just learning it. There's layer. I mean, you can pick what bot is specialized in this or that or this or that. It's freaking cool. I'm like a kid in a candy store. My God.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible stuff.
It is.
So I'm not sure which one I was answering there, but I could jump into Branson's question if you want.
Perfect. Yeah, I think we're wrapping up. If we take a quick look back here to pull off of Ransom, going back onto Clive, the protection of overwhelming is being intelligent about it. Take what needed. Let me jump back over here. We didn't ask though. We didn't, and maybe it's not important, but those 3 specific that you said, what do they do? What is their action?
Yeah. So I use an AI agent co-pilot. It's called Jasper, and it's in my AI tools, but Jasper follows me everywhere I go on the internet, my email, my LinkedIn, my social media, etc. And it replies to emails for me. I'm able to go scribble, and then highlight it and tell it, hey, write this in Jewelrybox AI's brand. And it will use words like shine and bright, or write it like Anthony. So this is better than ChatGPT. And that tool alone saves me about 20 hours a week across 3 of my companies. Not only that, it writes better than me, and it's on point, and it's on brand, which is it's better than ChatGPT. It's not generic. It already knows the brand. So that's going to save you money right away.
Okay. So which one was that? What was that right there that you were talking about?
That's Jasper AI.
Jasper. And it literally follows you. So you install it on your computer or device or whatever. And then once the setup is done and, things happen or whatever, then it will then follow you all around whatever you're doing. And by that, learning the brand, learning the talk, and especially what's really cool, which I don't think ChatGPT can do. One shout out to business, the Jewelrybox AI, and you just tell it to send that whatever message out to from Anthony. That differential is pretty cool.
It's very important because most people are using ChatGPT and they're getting shit in, shit out, excuse my language, but you got to have good prompts. But what happens is you're able to train it on a brand voice. So it knows the brand voice, and that way it knows, what to say, what not to say. Now, ChatGPT, like I said, I use that for pretty much everything. I have AI employees, AI agents, and one of the things that could help Clive on the last question is if you're loading everything into one bot, it's going to be confusing. You have to segregate them and give each person a task. You come up with campaign ideas. You're going to write the blueprints. You're going to create designs and captions and social copy. So separating them,
just like a human team in a brick and mortar company. Same thing, right?
Yes.
Same concept.
Less mistakes, except less mistakes. Now, the third one everybody uses but is sleeping on it, and this is definitely something I put in my course and I go over in my course, but Canva has some really, really, really insane AI features and functions that allow you to basically print content a lot quicker. And this becomes a major cost savings. And if you pair it with Jewelrybox, because Jewelrybox connects to all 7 social platforms at once. So I can make one post and it goes to 7. Like people have dreamed about that back in the day. You know, like, oh, I wish I could just post one. It goes, oh, well, it's there. Well, you pair all of these things, those 4 together, and you're flooding the market. And that's
actually to a point that's true, but you're actually enticing the market because each one that goes out is a little bit different, some different wording. And yes, you're literally flooding it, but the reaction comes that people start going, wow, that's cool information, or that even just that. And they start following you because you have that. And now they like, I mean, compliments all the time. Oh my God, that's beautiful. That's amazing. That's very cool. And still flooding the market, but with differently, you know, there's shorts, right? There's short form you send out, the mid form you send out, and then there's the what I like to call marketing the day of, which I did this morning. Get on my phone, I tell it what I want it to say, and there is oh shoot, dang it, I forgot which one I used, but it grabs that voicemail once it sees it, sends it over into the chain that says, okay, now adapt the wording to LinkedIn, adapt the wording to all the other ones that are out there. It's so freaking amazing. And you just had to set it up. And now you say, hey, do, just like what you're talking about. And it saves so much. I could not send out social media every day by hand.
No.
So those I send 2 a day in automation now.
Those 4 tools right there are pretty dangerous.
Awesome. What was the last of that name one? What is the name of that last one? I'm excited. You could tell.
So
what
is the
name of that?
ChatGPT, Canva, Jasper, and Jewelrybox.
Jasper and Jewelrybox. Oh my gosh. All right. So that's something that they can go onto your site and get a demo. You know, hey, this is what it looks like.
They would just download the top 10 AI tools. I'll get that. And then I'll follow up from there. But all of it goes into that. And then once they get the top 10 AI tools for free, I'll reach out and kind of, you know,
follow up, make sure they're all good and everything.
Crash course. Yeah.
Perfect, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. We didn't do Branson, right? Because we went back. So I'm curious, how do you see AI evolving the jewelry market? And I'll be honest, and obviously that's your niche. So, I mean, that market is a niche that you have, but it really goes for all, right? Yeah. All markets, all brick and mortar and digital, right?
Sure.
Markets.
So this is I'll try to keep it general. I can show something to jewelry if he wants. But here's the deal. 5 years is a long time from now. We're about to grow 100 years in humanity in the next 36 months. So I'll answer this as quick as best that I can.
For this second in time, right? For this moment in time, which will be different here in a little bit.
Yeah, let's look at it like in say a year to 3 years for the businesses. So number one, you're going to see from an operational and systematic standpoint, people cutting costs, less people on the phone, less people making cold calls, less customer service people picking up, less talking and manual operations that are just unneeded. So you're going to see that first layer of kind of staff and operational side of the businesses. Then you're going to have like the creative side of things, which is creating jewelry, creating designs, creating video. All of the media side of things is now going to change. You have text to video, text to image,
and become less expensive. It's amazing the cost of being your own marketing person is just coming down and down and down, and it's better and better and better, like you're saying.
Yeah, some of the video and text stuff is getting worked out, but it's getting better quick. And
it is.
The end result, if you really know what you're putting in there, is quite remarkable. So it's really hard to answer this on a 5-year deal, but I can tell you that most of, design, drop shipping, creating marketing content, creating website pages, codes, everything is going to be way cheaper, way faster. And the people that are on it the quickest are probably going to succeed in their industry, and then maybe even find a niche in AI because they were ahead of the game on things. People will start coming to them as a consultant and whatnot. So I hope that answers the question.
100%. I like to say this thing. You always want to be in front of the ball, on the cutting edge, on the new, and you're right. I mean, getting into it now, legitimately, earnestly, and all of that, you're going to have the benefit of everything you just said. That's freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, it's literally awesome. A three-headed monster. This is a really good question.
It's an awesome question. I've been waiting for it. Yeah.
All right, so super important. Some people worry about this. I don't want a bot speaking for me, et cetera, et cetera. So again, on the top 10 AI tools, I share some stuff that I used to do: AI voice, AI cloning. But basically, this.
That's cool, right?
Yeah.
I've seen. In other words, you have an whatever you would call it. I'm going blank on the name, but you'd have a AI vision, very accurate of you, and then you tell it what you want it to say, and now you're personally delivering a message. That's what you're talking about with that, right?
Yeah. Yep. So
okay.
You can now have that voice sound like your CEO, and someone could call in and it could sound like the CEO. But the answer to the question is, you automate where you want, and then when it's time to hand off to a human, you can simply do that. So you get to choose what to automate and when to hand off. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. But if I could be so bold, you also the information you're sending out can be trained to be personal, to be, hey, I want this to be, a very, you use words like very professional, or this to be fun and engaging, or this, and as you go, I noticed that each time you describe that, it knows more of what you're looking for and does that more easily, even without it wasn't Jason, that last one that follows you around. That's a very, like you said, very top layer, but that's freaking exciting, man. Right?
Yeah. You do make a good point that you can also, stand out by doing the right training and things like that. That is correct.
Sure.
For sure. Yeah.
That's absolutely true. I'm not sure if I don't know these two terminologies.
Oh yeah.
What role does UX and UI? Hey, Jim Carrey.
Yep.
Wouldn't that be cool if it was the actor? Anyway, play it.
Might be.
It might. In conversations for jewelers, what is UX, and then what is UI?
Yeah. So UX is user experience, UI is user interface. So these are basically just like, how does the website experience play, a role with conversions for jewelers. So I would best answer this question as it's a byproduct of how we're attracting. So remember, it goes attract, capture, notify everybody, nurture, upsell, do it all over again. So if I'm running
all automated,
if I'm running ads, I'm first of all competing with other people. They're high intent. I need a good offer, and I need to probably get straight to the point. Timer, things like that. If I am, doing more of a contest thing, I can maybe do a survey and gather some more information and make it more, interactive. But at the end of the day, they're, entering to win $1,000 off an engagement ring or something like that. But I'm gathering all this data and I'm getting hundreds of them. So
and you're getting more of a reaction. You're getting more clicks, you're getting involvement when you have something like that or a survey, right?
Yeah. So what we really do with the UI UX is we use funnels. We create a relationship from the second they get there to they fill something out. Boom, we're upselling them. Boom, we're downselling them. That didn't work. Hey, follow us on Facebook or join the email list. So it's a little bit of psychology backed by strategic funnel sequences.
Nice.
And telling them what they need when they don't need it and when they do need it. And,
here's everybody, and you get them down to here. And those are the ones that are the right ones you want to spend time on.
Yes.
That's a beautiful word, funnel.
Yeah.
Did we kind of go through, I think, do you see a future where AI could handle the entire customer journey? And before you answer this, for jewelers, this is applicable to any business, any industry does. I mean, this is the jewelry business, but it's not that it's the only way it would work. This is the jewelry business. And let's face it, jewelry is a great business to have this for, because diamonds are forever, right? And not only men, but women, they're around the world is always going to be a market. So that's very cool. But you could do this for the, I don't know, the egg farmer I'm being extreme here, the egg farm, which by the way, one of my sons is, so it came to mind, and he does similar stuff. My older son runs an online business, same thing, little groups of people teaching them how to do A or B or whatever it is. So it's very exciting how, and your application, your training goes across all fields, not just jewelry. We're talking about jewelry because you have businesses within the jewelry industry, but you could talk about.
You could just give me an industry and I can talk about it,
There you go. So you can design, you can work with them, whatever that industry is. Of course, you got to have a conversation, see what you're looking for and or need to be adjusted, what you can or should look for. I mean, that's any industry, right?
Yeah, there's going to be some that are going to be harder to fully automate, Tobias, if that's your name, like home services,
Tobias,
HVAC, bricklaying, all those robots can do that. That's going to come a little bit later. But the answer to the question is handle the entire customer journey. Yes, I do. That's kind of already happening with e-com products and things of that nature. Major software companies are basically running their customer support and sales through AI bots and AI voices, which we've been getting really deep into. And quite frankly, they do a better job than a lot of humans. Now, not yet.
Handling the customer service, you mean?
Oh, yeah.
Taking that call? Yeah, no, they're getting better. They are getting they used to be irritating as hell, but now they're getting much more intelligent.
You're right.
agree.
So I think for right now, you're going to see a lot of automating and implementing and things like that, but some human interaction. But yes, in the future, they'll be able to handle a lot of that. Some industries will come later.
And they should. And
Yeah.
and you'll benefit more at that. We're going through the crappy stuff right now. Like we're going through modem, dial-up modem.
Mhm.
Now what you're describing is it'll be different, way better, but it's comparing the internet to modem,
Yeah. Very good. Very
am I
good.
saying that right? The server to, well, however you say that, but it is
Dial up to modem.
dial up
Yeah.
to modem. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Do you see a future where, okay, so I think we got this kind of dialed in, and the future is what? Beginning to end, I work with you to go through the process seamlessly, right? That's kind of how that works, right?
Yeah, like we did one of these.
Attorney.
We did one of these for an attorney, and it's a live chat, but it's him talking like, hey, what's going on? Like, what happened in your case? And it asks them the questions, and the person will fill it out in live chat. And so like, awesome. What are you interested in doing next? A free consultation, and it's him in a live chat. It works. It doesn't sleep.
Like this.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah, very similar. Very similar.
Maybe not the exact, but I'm just trying to create a picture in my head.
Yeah. All right, we got one more here.
Even will boost your CRM conversations even more. What tools or platforms do you pair with your CRM to boost conversations even more? We got about 4 or 5 more left. You got. I know you're pressed for time here.
Probably three more or so. Would that be cool?
So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what's. Oh, Barbie. Producer Barbie are the last 2. So we only have 3 questions.
Okay, cool. So a couple things that I would consider, Kathy, is making sure that your data is clean before it goes into the CRM. So using email verification, which ours has a tool for, that's just going to help your deliverability, your open rates, and then your overall health score. Depending on what you're using the CRM for, I could probably give you a little bit.
Health score is how often bits were sent out and received. Isn't that the health score? How effective
health score is just like when you're sending out like thousands of emails or a bunch of emails, right? Like how spammy are you? How well received is this? How is it written? You can't just send them 100 links with videos and images at the beginning. You got to build your health score up. But if I knew a little bit more about how you were using your CRM, I probably could have a couple tricks of the trade. But the one thing that I do love about Jewelrybox is that it's all in one for the most part.
This brings me back to what I mentioned earlier. As we do the last couple of ones, I'm gonna kick you into the green room for a couple of minutes of after show. And during that time, if you'll type in the private, I think guests, and I don't know why this is. Well, I can imagine, but guests can only type into the private chat. I'll copy that and post it into the what do they call it? The communication or the whatever into where everybody sees it. Okay.
Okay. I put.
All right. So go on. You don't know exactly her conversation or her needs. So it's a general answer is all you can basically cover, unless Kathy, you want to, I don't know if you can get back on real quick or not jump on with a question, but you only got a couple of minutes here. We're jumping out here real soon, my friend. Let's go into Matt. This is exactly the kind of content entrepreneurs should need. I agree, right?
Hell yeah. Appreciate that, Matt. Appreciate that.
Good word. Hell yeah. I totally agree. There's some energy in that. Hell yeah.
Yes,
so metal and material representatives. So Boris sounds like probably Russian area. We get a lot of people from all over the world because we interview a lot of people from all over the world. That's kind of my Um, metals and minerals representatives. What's the? Oh, I am Denver. Okay, sorry. That I didn't pre-read that. That's somebody freaking jumping on being an advertisement. Sorry about that. That's the first time that's ever happened.
Figured.
Anyways, so that is producer Barbie right there, BSR. She's been with me for over 20 years and is the other voice that really helps make this message come across. And it looks like for the last question, if you don't mind, are you concerned what impact the loss of human interaction using AI will have on our future society? And that's the other side. That's the fear of people. And that's a Barbie producer. That was awesome. Talk to you in a minute. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked this. And it's the first thing I cover on the 4-hour crash course is fears of AI. And I'm very upfront about it. There is no doubt about it. I have concerns for humanity. AI getting smarter than us,
of different
way
concerns.
smarter than us being not mature enough as a species to control and regulate things. That type of power being able to be purchased by private companies and individuals can be extremely dangerous. Learned that from Walter O'Brien as well. I won't go into details of things he said that are possible right now.
But you have an access to that to pass on to people, obviously.
I do.
At the moment, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, and I'm also working with some people that are working with OpenAI directly and some of the best AI engineers in the world, consulting with Sam Altman and things like that.
That's awesome.
But, I think we saw a dose of it with social media. We've become less human there. We're sharing more wearables.
Big problem.
It's already bad for society. I mean, social media is terrible for our mental health in a lot of ways. I think you can make it good for your health, but it's really hard not to get caught up in that rat race. And, it's psychology. We're getting hit endorphins when you get likes and this and that. And the kids are going through this. They're going to be living in a completely different reality. It's going to be metaverse. And so I do feel that there are some myths. I think there are some fears. I think some of them are realistic. And I think a lot of them are dependent on how and what we do with them. And I also feel that some of these things can't be stopped. So you might as well get in and just try to make it, do something good with it. And that's my take on it. But there's some good and bad to it. There's risk involved.
Just like anything. I mean, absolutely 100%. And that was a final example of why talking like this to us, to you, getting on your program, getting into and taking seriously. I mean, right now I think everybody's my oldest son lives in Texas. She's my young granddaughter. She's so adorable, but I'm biased, I know, but she is. Anyway, I visit them regularly. Was there with her birth, and then a month ago, something like that, I went down for her first year birthday. And of course, I know the other grandparents, and we all hang out. And during that, somewhere in the show, somebody asked me a question about the podcast, and then we got into this AI conversation. And to my point, let's see, who would it be? Emma's grandmother on Emma's mom's side of the family, the grandmother, who's very alert, very active, very, very cool. But she said, "Hey, I'm scared to death of this stuff." So I've sent her a couple little clips, kind of seeing, and I talked to Lauren and say, it's not I don't want to make it an emergency thing for this poor woman, but yeah, it's a big deal. What do you want to say before you give a wave to your most recent trusted fans? What's your closing thought about this, my friend?
This question or the whole podcast?
Either one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just do in general, guys. I didn't get into my story really much of why I got into
I know we
AI,
can do
but
it.
it
You want to finish
basically,
with that?
I mean, just like any business owner, I had a lot going on. Anchor was growing. I had a real estate niche that was growing. I had an agency, and I was just getting so buried. And then a couple bad things happened. Unfortunate events, some crazy. But I ended up having a lot of injuries. I was learning to walk again. I got rear-ended by a 19-year-old kid, broke my back. So I was in a machine for like 6 months to a year and not in a good place. And I was like, dude, I need to make more money in one-fourth of the time. And I need less stress. Like, that's it. Like, that was my first prompt. And I just think that
That's your entry. That's your reason for this part of your journey.
yeah, everything was going crazy, growing like crazy. I was getting washed under the rug personally, and a lot of business owners when they're scaling do this. So
100%.
I would just say, educate yourself, educate your staff, and
Get help.
just don't do nothing. Yeah, just don't do nothing. And if you want to tiptoe into it, tiptoe into it with personal stuff like, hey, how do I manage the 3 kids soccer things,
Schedules.
and
Yeah.
and yeah, I would invest in some of the education. Happy to help with anybody that wants to do it. I think I'm pretty easy to work with, and we also do edutainment, so it's also a lot of fun. Which is
Edutainment. Oh, I like that word.
yeah,
That's a
so
good word. Education that's enjoyable.
yeah.
You
So
learn
that's it.
quicker. You retain more that way.
Exactly. You're right. And that's it.
Yeah.
Check us out. Hit us up. You're awesome, dude. It was pleasure hanging out here with all you guys. And thank you so much for your guys' questions.
Thank you very much.
Interest. And
Yeah.
other than that, just keep on pushing, guys.
All right. Give us all a big wave, my friend. I'm going to have you go back into the green room while I wrap up. Anthony, I couldn't have been more happy than the results of this show. You're fantastic. You've been a great guest, and I look forward to maybe more like the next phase. I don't know what to say, but follow up. Phase. Next chapter. Let's call it. All right,
Absolutely.
brother. Have a good one. All right, so I cut you off a little tiny bit early there. I was I love screwing around with this show in timing, and unfortunately, and that sets me up to make mistakes periodically, I'll say, in the show. But anyway, guys, wasn't Anthony fantastic? Wasn't the way there needs to be more confidence in people, especially older people, like he was saying. He got in kind of late, and he got in for a different reason. But kids nowadays, or probably for the last decade, have been born with a phone in their hand. So this, like Anthony said earlier, this generation is going to be experiencing a whole nother different complete. It'd be like I think we said this earlier. It'd be like the going from the covered wagon in the West, going across the West to the 1950s, let's say, in the growth of cars, to the 80s when space rockets started going up. All of that is an evolving society, and AI is going to turn all of that up in great dramatic speed. So, guys, as I always say, thank you so much for being here. Go wave to somebody, say hi to somebody, create that vibe. The mission here, as you know, is to bring the great middle class together, because we're all more powerful, more influential to our lives, by others that direct it, meaning tax this, do. Us coming together can allow us, inform us how to take our own narrative back again. And folks, I just got to say this.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.